Metseng and HBX are proud to welcome Roche Mamabolo for our Friday with Metseng sessions on owning your own goals. Roche is the head of the LORA Centre for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. He is a published author and mentor and teacher at the LORA Centre. Today he's going to take us through the goals, owning your own goals in the context of 2021, the lockdown environment that we find ourselves in, and he's going to look at the macro and micro issues that will affect you while setting your goals for 2021, as well as talking about how to implement those goals throughout. So here, without any further ado, is Roche Mamabolo from the LORA Centre for Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
It still feels like it's 2021, 2020, right? And I think what Jack Ma said in 2020 was the goal is for business really to stay alive. The quest for 2020 was to stay alive. But I'm pretty much convinced that it's still applicable to 2021. We still need to ensure that whatever we do when we run our businesses, we are striving to survive, not try and achieve glamorous goals, but to ensure that in the face of other businesses closing down, in the face of business people losing their jobs, we continue to survive and stay alive. So I think for me that was the message that I sort of took away from Jack Ma. I know he was in isolation, he vanished for some time, but I only read recently that he actually surfaced. Um, so it will be quite interesting to hear what he has to say. But I think I've decided to split my presentation in three factors: macro issues, micro issues, and implementation. Because quite frankly, you don't prepare your plans for 2021 in isolation to what's happening out there. So it's important to have a context, to understand the context of where your business is operating in, so that your plans are more or less in line with the context or the environment that you're operating in. So I'm just going to dive through, what are these three sections that I'm referring to. Firstly, what are the macro issues that are affecting, businesses globally, locally, especially in 2021? What are the things that we need to be mindful of? It's the setting, it's the background, it's the environment that you're operating in. What we know for sure is that there's a global economic slowdown. Globally, markets. I mean, the last time I checked, most countries, if not all countries, have revised their GDP targets and they've revised them downwards. The only country that has shown improvements or growth in their GDP globally is China. Now, I think I saw their growth in the last quarter to be about 2.6% GDP growth for the last quarter, which is quite phenomenal. But the rest of the world, the US, Europe, have revised their growth targets down. So, which means that the global economy is slowing down. There's less activity in terms of buying and selling, manufacturing, and trading. So it's important to understand that when your business is struggling, it's not only you are doing something wrong, but we are all in this together. Right? It's affecting everybody. So it's important to understand that. But I think obviously bringing it back to home, we also know that South Africa's economic slowdown has actually intensified. Before the COVID, our economy was actually struggling, but I think what the COVID has done is it has actually even made things worse. For instance, I mean, since the COVID pandemic started, we have lost about 3 million jobs on estimate. Quite a number of business closures. I was reading recently that the Hilton Hotel in Durban is also closing down, budget cuts. So there's companies are slowing down, they're cutting their budgets. So not only is it global, but also in South Africa, we are affected. And what this means is when the economy slows down, when businesses retrench people, unemployment goes up. And what that does is it affects consumer spending. So our customers that ordinarily would buy five things from our business, because they don't have quite a lot of money left in their pockets, they'll buy one. right? So it's not that they're stingy. It's not that they're trying to, not necessarily be generous with their funding. They don't have funds. So global slowdown, South Africa slowdown, a lot of businesses are retrenching. It's affecting. It's affecting our businesses, our customer spending, and of course, lockdowns also. If you are into eventing or businesses that are entertaining people physically, lockdowns have actually, I mean, with the hard lockdown, restrictions, curfews, that has also affected a lot of businesses that are mostly in contact type of spaces. So that and I'm sort of I mean, as we speak at the moment, we are also having our restrictions and curfews, and I suspect that's going to be the norm throughout the year. There's also talk of the third wave that's still coming. So as you plan your 2021, have that in mind that we might be swinging, back and forth between the various levels, the restrictions. And also think about how is that going to affect your business. So from a macro perspective, I mean, we also know, for instance, ESCOM load shedding. I mean, this is a South African innovation that started 5, 6 years ago, but it continues, to affect to affect our businesses. It's not going away. I used to think when they say no, but it's winter, there's high demand, therefore that's why we are load shedding because of capacity constraints. But seemingly, even in summer, there are reasons why we are load shedding in summer. We're being told the rains, the stock is wet, and all these kind of things. So seemingly, this is not going away. So when you do your plans this year, factor ESCOM load sharing. Download there's this app, ESCOM Push. Download the app, get the schedule. Look at how you can have a workaround. Load shedding and the different times so that you are able to be better planned. So we also know for a fact that this year, I'm not so sure if we'll have them, but I know that this year we also have local elections. The dates have not been proclaimed yet, but if you are doing business with government, local municipalities, start looking at how is that going to affect your business. Make sure that the invoices are paid before the elections because you don't know what might happen afterwards. There might be new administration, and it might delay payments. The new captains might decide we are freezing payments until we know who we are paying and all those kind of things. So if you are doing business with local municipalities, just ensure that you have this worked out in terms of how it will affect your business. So what I'm trying to basically do is I'm trying to do like a top down. So I'm starting with the bigger environment, the macro issues and how those macro issues can actually affect your business, and be mindful of those things and start factoring those things when you do your plans. And then I'm going to try and zone in into specifically what are the things that you need to look at, how do you need to approach them, your attitude, but also how to actually do that proper plan for the year. So we have looked at the micro. Let's look at the macro now. These are things that are pretty much within your control. So the macro are outside of your control. You can't really you can respond to, but not necessarily influence them. Right? Macro are things that are happening within the business. These are the things that you have control over. These are the things that you can change. So firstly, the biggest thing or the theme that you need to have for your business for 2021 is cash flow. You need to stick very closely to your cash flow, right? Look at where's the money coming from, where's the money going to. But now, again, looking at the global slowdown, economic slowdown, customers not having enough money, things like your lockdowns, it's going to affect your cash flow. It's going to affect your revenue stream, right? So, which means that your revenue stream will be less than what you used to, right? Start looking at how is that affecting your business. How are you going to be able to make your monthly obligations as and when they are due? Will you be able to pay your suppliers? Will you be able to pay your salaries? So cash flow is very, very, very important. So stick to it. If it means you're reviewing it every second week, start reviewing your cash flow every week, right? Make sure that each and every day you look at your numbers. Are they correlating? Are they matching? Are you still in business, or are you technically insolvent, right? So again, don't be flattered by turnover and profit and all. Those things are just vanity. Be more realistic. Look at, do I have the cash in the bank? Cash is king at the moment, right? If you get a contract, right, and it's a million, don't get excited. Start thinking of, do you have the cash to fulfill that contract? After you have fulfilled that contract, how much money is left? Will you be paid on time? Because sometimes it might be that it's a big contract, but if you're not paid on time, chances of you closing or shutting down are very high. So start, if you have a contract from a client, start working out, when can you negotiate a deposit from your client so that you are able to get the wheels going. So cash flow is king, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. So again, cash is the lifeblood of any business. Without cash, the business is suffering. No matter how much lucrative clients you have, if they don't pay you on time, you are out of business, right? So assess your cash flow. If it means every day, so be it. But the least, if you were to prolong it a week at the most, make sure that you stay on top of your money, right? Ask your customers to pay deposits if they can. They can pay 10% deposit, whatever the case might be. If you can, negotiate with your suppliers to pay them later. The objective is to make sure that you are liquid. The objective is to make sure that you hold on to as much cash as you can for as long as is possible, right? So if you can get more from your customers to pay in advance, so be it. If you delay your payments to your customers, negotiate with them. Go remote if you have offices, fancy offices, and all those things. If you can help it, go remote, work from home. It reduces your rental expenses. Besides people, with lockdowns, what you don't want. We also made the very same mistake when the first 21 days lockdown were announced. We had offices. We could not negotiate in time to cancel our contract, and we found having to pay for the rent to offices that we could not access because we were locked down in our homes. So try and see if you can't release yourself from those contracts. If you can avoid it, sure. If you can't, maybe it's a 12 month lease and there's still some time to run on it. Try and negotiate with your landlord, right? Work out if you can sort of do deferred payments, reduce payments. You know, don't be shy. This is the time not to be shy. Go out there. It's better they say no than you not trying to negotiate with them. So if you can negotiate with your landlords for maybe half the payments or deferred payments or some form of arrangement. So try and reduce as much expenses as you can. That food basket that you used to buy every Monday, it goes, right? You can't afford to be having food baskets every Monday. That's gone, right? Try and stick to the bare minimum. Negotiate with your suppliers for payment holidays, extension of payments, negotiate with your staff members also. If you have a team of people that you work with, try and negotiate salary cut. And I think it's always better. And I think if you communicate, and I think the message here is rather over communicate than under communicate. So communicate with your staff members, guys. The economy is slowing down. Instead of retrenching you, how about we all take a salary cut, right? And see how far we can run on reduced salary. Let's do it now instead of when we run out of money and we are then forced to lay off staff. So cash flow, very important. Get the tools, get your bank statements. There's a software tool called Zero. There's quite a lot of software tools that you can actually use for your cash flow management. Get your bank statements. On your bank statements, it will tell you money coming in is this much, money going out is that much. And you already know whether, if the two don't correlate, if there's more money going out than money coming in, technically you're insolvent, right? You need to start looking at your costs. So as you plan, for this year, make sure that you stick very closely to your numbers. Yeah, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, stick to your numbers. Have a spreadsheet, pull your bank statements, and I know at the end of the month, the banks will send you bank statements. Pull those bank statements. Start making sure that you are reconciling. So it's important to to have your cash flow as part of your goal. Again, it's not a deal until the money is in the bank. So don't be fooled, with the contract and all those things. In fact, what I've seen also from experience is some businesses go under because they had this lucrative deal, but because the payment terms were not in favor of the entrepreneur. A classic example would be if you do business with government or a big corporate and they give you a big deal. They assume that because you're brave enough to approach them for business, you've got capacity, right? And if they place an order for 50,000 products and you only do 5,000 products on average, chances are you're going to need to have a cash injection to be able to do 50,000 products. And you are likely to go to the bank, get a loan, right, to fulfill the order. But your suppliers, or sorry, your client will pay you 30 days or sometimes even 60 days, and you can't operate on a 60-day payment cycle. Sometimes even a 30-day payment cycle is hard for entrepreneurs. I submitted invoice now. I expect to be paid within 5 days. 30 days is a long time, right? It's a very long time. So don't be flattered by a deal that's looking lucrative. Rather negotiate the payment terms. How am I going to be paid cash? Is there going to be? Can you mind paying a deposit, 10% upfront, and all those kind of things? Try and negotiate those deals because sometimes a big deal might actually render your business bankrupt. So that's the first thing. Secondly, perform your SWOT analysis. Go back, revisit your SWOT. The environment has changed, right? We're no longer operating in a normal business environment. The environment has changed. You are operating in a COVID pandemic environment. So it only makes sense that you go back and revisit your SWOT. Are my strengths still relevant, right? Or have they been rendered irrelevant because people can't come to me and see me perform and play my guitar, right? How is it still a strength for us to host individuals? What are our weaknesses? Where are the opportunities, right? There's plenty of opportunities mushrooming out there. Are you aware of those opportunities, new opportunities that are coming through? And what are the threats, right? Suddenly we are full lockdown, people can't come to our premises, and we that's the end of us because we can't entertain people, and we have to shut down and close doors, right? Go back, revisit your SWOT. It's absolutely critically important. And as you revisit your SWOT, include COVID pandemic in there, right? Do we have the PPE for our premises? Work out various scenarios. If we go level one, two, three, four, five, what does this do for our business, right? So go back, revisit your SWOT, revisit are the reasons that people are buying from us, are they still relevant to us during the pandemic, right? So it's important to look at. 3.2.3, revisit your business model canvas, right? It's important. Go back, look at, our customers, still our customers, right? Or have they changed, right? Do we supply the very same way we used to supply before COVID? How do we supply our customers in a safe COVID, within the COVID restrictions, for instance? If there's curfews, what does it mean for our business operating hours? How does it affect our customers? Are our suppliers still in business, right? Or do they close down because of COVID, right? Do we need to look at other customers? So go back, revisit your business model canvas. Is our value proposition still relevant? Do we need other key resources? Do we need things like sanitizers and things like that? Do we need to beef up our key resources? How does COVID change our key activities? Suddenly, I need to employ an additional person to as customers walk in, they need to be sprayed and things like that. You need to ensure that they're wearing masks and things like that. Who do we partner with? Are there other key partners that we need to look at? So you need to now come up with a different or an updated, revised business model canvas that's including the COVID pandemic into it. Again, as the environment changes, you also need to change. I mean, this is what Charles Darwin says. Those who will survive are not the smartest, but those who will survive are the ones that adjust to the changing environment. So you also need to change. Diversify, right? Now let's look back. I know you're passionate about singing. I know you're passionate about tourism, but those industries are threatened now. There's very few people who are moving around to crowded spaces. Those spaces have been banned. We can't now sit in crowds. We can't go to other countries because of travel bans and things like that. How then do you manage this? How are you going to diversify? How are you going to adapt your business to changing environments, right? We Before the lockdown, we used to have our classes in physical classes at Rosebank in Botswana, right? As a result of COVID, we needed to shift. We needed to now go online, right? We needed to look at what other things can we do, what are the other opportunities that are coming through, right? If you are training people for speaking, right, a new opportunity might be, maybe we can train them to speak online. Speaking in front of people is different to speaking online, right? How can we digitize our business now? Move online. Where are the other opportunities? How can we repurpose our teams and our skills? So we employed this guy. He does computers. He's very good with computers, but he's got other skills as well. Maybe he can negotiate. Maybe he can do other things. Let's see if we can repurpose those skills as well, right? So we need to diversify, look at other opportunities, look at what we can do to supplement our reduced revenue, right? 2.5, you need to start selling online, right? If you are serious about trade, about business, especially with this social distancing and lockdowns, selling online, e-commerce is become a big thing, right? If you're doing conferences, you need to know how to use Zoom, subscribe to the various packages. If you're into consultancy, selling books, consider using Shopify and pay fast, right? They'll create a shelf for you, and customers will be able to access your products, and they'll be able to pay using pay fast. If you are selling physical products, consider what you call Parcel Ninja. Parcel Ninja also has got a warehouse. They can store your products. They've got a shop where people can buy your products and they can pay, and they can ship your products to your customers, and then you get paid. So it's important that you need to now go digital, and you need to now be able to be well versed with how to sell online. So consider Shopify, right? Consider Parcel Ninja, consider PayFast, PayPal, and all these other payment platforms. But I know in South Africa, PayFast is the one that I would recommend. But if you are selling to the international market as well, you can look at PayPal and other things. So important that in your 2021 plans, you've got to be able to sell online, right? This is going to be, and once people get used to this, it's going to be a new normal going forward. And I mean, the stats also, some research on online shopping, the state of online shopping, 91% of South Africans surveyed are satisfied with online shopping experience, and what do they buy? 33% buy personal education and professional development. 20% they buy ebooks, 18% they buy financial advice on websites. So men 71% buy online, 73% women. So it's all this data that shows that there's actually a lot of people who actually are willing to trade. And I think also what I've seen also, delivery businesses. So if you want to diversify, delivery courier businesses are also taking off in a big way. Again, people are trying to stay safe, they stay home, they'd rather a courier, whatever they want, in their homes. So that's the micro. So we started with the macro, what's happening out there, and based on what's happening out there, what can we do in here, right? Lastly, implementation. Implementation, right? Draft a monthly business plan. It's important a monthly implementation plan. So a year planner on a monthly basis. What are you going to do in your year plan based on what you know, what's happening out there, based on what you need to do in here? Let's now start putting it down. What are our goals? When are we going to achieve those goals? What are our deadlines? Who's responsible for doing what? Do they need resources to be able to do that? And when do we review, right? So this is an example that I just drafted that you can use as a spreadsheet. So you can have 12 months. I put January, February, March. You can have 12 months. And in there, you can have these are the goals. You need to get a business logo in January. Should take us 5 days back and forth. The deadline is 21st January. I'm responsible for it, but I'm going to outsource this to someone else who's going to need 1,000. So this is our goal for January. February, again in Jan, we need to brainstorm new products. This should take us 1 day as a team. We're going to do that by the 25th of Jan, and we'll just do a Zoom discussion, assuming that we are all working remotely. We need to send proposals to clients. That should take us 2 days. That should be done by 30th of Jan. And Tabo, our salesperson, is responsible for doing that. What will he need? They just need email and data, and maybe data will cost us $50, and Tabo does that. So you can have a list of your goals or targets for the month of Jan. We do the same for the month of Feb. Feb is the month of love, so we're preparing Valentine's specials. It will take us 2 days to prepare the specials. Grace is responsible for that. We'll need products and labels, and it will cost us $500. And so you do that for March, April, May, for the whole year. You've got your goals there. You know when they are due. You know who's responsible for what, and you know what the budget is to get those goals done, right? So you'll have, and in January you'll focus on here. At the end of Jan, you sit down, you review, right? Was one done? Did you get a business logo? If it's done, tick. Did you get new products? Did you brainstorm on new products? If it was done, tick. Proposal sent to clients, done, tick. So at the end of the month, we have ticked all those things. We are happy. Second month, we go through Feb, we do all those things. At the end of February, we then tick if we have achieved those. If we haven't achieved them, why didn't we achieve them? And then we see, do we need to move them to the next month? Are they still relevant? Are they not relevant? And we'll work it out, right? So it's important to do that. Thirdly, for me, most importantly, get a mentor. It's important that once you have got these plans, you need to get an accountability partner. Somebody who's going to say, okay, you said in January you're going to do these three things. Did you do them? Give me feedback, right? You said in February, in March, right? So each and every month, your mentor holds you accountable to those plans. It's important that those plans are not just plans on paper, but somebody's helping you realize those plans. So accountability partner, you discuss your plans, you hold monthly sessions, you report back to somebody holding you accountable. You listen, you ask questions, they give you feedback. Your mentor, again, is important. He's not a consultant. He's not there to do the job for you. He's there to guide you, you implement. So it's important to have that. Plans, great on paper, but what's important is you need to be able to implement them, have an implementation plan, but also have somebody who's going to hold you accountable. All right. Again, it's going to be a difficult year. Get somebody who's going to help you with mental strength. Your partner can also be there when you feel depressed, when you feel demotivated. They can help you. Or join a network of other entrepreneurs like Godfrey's network. Be in the room digitally with other entrepreneurs. Listen to the discussions. Read stories, inspiring stories of other entrepreneurs. Get a mentor, a coach. Whatever it is, don't allow yourself to be isolated by the challenges that have been brought in 2021. Again, back to Jack Ma. He says, and I love this, never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be even worse, but the day after tomorrow, it will be sunshine. But we know that the day after tomorrow it may not necessarily be 2021. It might be 2022 or 2023. But it's gonna get worse. Prepare for the worst. Prepare as if your business is on level 5 lockdown, right? Prepare for the worst, and if it doesn't realize, it's a bonus, right? And rather be prepared. Write down your plans. Don't run your business in your heads. There's too many things that are happening in here. You are likely to get lost in here. Put down in writing and track it, and get someone who's going to help you to track it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roche. I think that was very good. Really, a lot of interesting stuff there. A lot of interesting stuff to take away. I think it's interesting there you brought up Jack Ma, and just knowing that the Chinese government have been looking for him, and the fact that he says that it's about survival
Yeah, it is about
that he's managed. So
yeah, yeah.
that's good. It's very good. And yeah, I think it's important, to look. You mentioned the negotiating with your landlord, negotiating with your suppliers. We had a lady recently, Teboho Lefifi, and she was talking to us about similar things and saying, you know what, actually, we're all in the same boat, all the small businesses. So look at opportunities that don't involve cash. Look at a swap of services and things, and I think that's also very important at the moment to
Yes,
consider.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Good. Godfrey, do you?
No, I'm just happy today that we were busy with books, and so the topic as well, it was all about books today. So earlier we were busy with books and bank statement and everything. So you even suggested that we must check it weekly now. Mr. O'Shea is busy with it now, so it's exciting now.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. No, it's exciting. It's difficult times, but I think there are also opportunities. You just need to be versatile. But yeah,
Indeed.
Definitely.
Rosha, I wanted to ask you, I see we've got about 3 minutes left because we're using the free version of Zoom as well, so we've limited to 40 minutes. I noticed that you, on your website, you've got a book, and I see there may be a second one out. I see there was another one being released at some stage, and obviously you run the LORA Institute, so maybe you just want to spend a minute or two telling us about that, because we'd love to share that with the people.
yeah. So I work with entrepreneurs in terms of training, and so mostly training on entrepreneurship and innovation. What we have picked up is a lot of entrepreneurs have the technical skills. They know how to do the technical work, but they struggle with concepts like how to cost and price their services, how to commercialize, go-to-market strategies. So we sort of try and train them up on those. We are accredited with services CETA, so we do issue qualification certificates. So that's what we do. We're actually starting a new program, a new cohort today, and the new venture creation. We've got social entrepreneurship. Those who are passionate about bringing impact in their communities, but also in a sustainable way. We've got a course on innovation, a course on leadership as well. And I've got two books: The Startup Revolution, which was written 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 6 years ago, on the fourth industrial revolution and how and what the opportunities are for entrepreneurs, and also the Letters to Entrepreneurs, which is mentorship lessons that I've learned throughout my entrepreneurship journey. So yeah, you can access those at loracenter.com, loracenter.com, or on my website, rochemamabolo.com.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Rosha. I think just before we cut off, I'd like to thank you for your time. It's fantastic to see you again,
Yes.
and I'm sure we'll have you back again, and maybe we have you back, and you can share a little bit more on the books and about the center. It'd be really good.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for the invite, guys, and keep on doing the amazing work. It matters.